Hello again, I am Blunty, and that is the Samsung NX100, which is a smaller, lighter follow-up version of the NX10, Samsung's original mirrorless interchangeable lens camera, which I reviewed earlier on in the year. So let's ponder on the possibility that this camera is worth your pennies. I'm aware that in Australia we don't actually use pennies, but the alliteration works better that way. Here's my review.
The Samsung NX100 is a 14.6 megapixel camera with an APS-C format sensor, and while its predecessor was built to emulate the styling of a DSLR camera, this time Samsung have gone for a much more compact and elegant design. It's light and it feels very comfortable to hold and use. But the big new feature that makes its first appearance in this model is Samsung's new eye function lens system. What it promises is a fast and intuitive way to alter several vital manual settings: ISO, shutter speed, exposure compensation and aperture. Basically, instead of clicking around sub-menus with the four-way control pad like normal, you push a button on the lens itself which calls up a sequential list of manual options, which can then be altered by turning a ring on the lens itself. And to be brutally honest, at first I thought it was a bit of a gimmick. I honestly didn't think it was going to be any better than just selecting those options via a menu as you normally would. But clearly, I'm an idiot, because the reality is that the eye function system was much faster and more intuitive, and being able to change the manual settings faster means less chance of missing a shot because you're buried in a menu fiddling. Upshot of it is, it does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it does it really well. It's not just something to slap on the front of the box. The kit lens is a compact 20 to 50mm zoom lens that runs from f3.5 to 5.5. There's also a new 20mm f2.8 pancake lens, which I didn't have for my review unit, but I did get to use for a couple of hours at a press event, and it was lovely. There are, of course, several more eye function lenses coming early next year. Every still camera these days jams the video mode in there, and the NX100 is no exception. The camera can shoot 720p HD video, but like its predecessor, it's somewhat unimpressive. The microphone is ordinary. There are slight issues with rolling shutter wobble in fast pans. There are some problems with chromatic fringing and aliasing, but at least the video it captures is clean and sharp, and there's no denying that with the large sensor and interchangeable lenses it can capture video that looks way nicer than what the average point-and-shoot can manage. But I wouldn't recommend this camera to anyone who cares much about shooting video with it regularly, because the little foibles will grow to annoyances very quickly. But if your main interest is being able to take stills, and let's be frank, that's why you buy a camera like this, herpy-derpy, well, you're in luck, because while Samsung may not have a good grip on the video modes just yet, when you start shooting stills with this camera, it really starts to show off. The day I shot most of the pictures you're looking at now, I had initially planned just to go out for a bit of a wander for a couple of hours in the local botanical gardens. But between the stunningly beautiful day and how much the performance of this camera was really starting to impress me, I actually spent the entire day shooting with it, even after sundown for some long exposure shots. I haven't enjoyed going on a photo walk this much in a very long time. And the battery easily took me through the whole day of shooting, including taking more than an hour of video. My only real complaint about the basic function of the camera, aside from the video stuff I just mentioned, is that the autofocus can be a bit sluggish and doesn't always lock onto what you'd assume would be the obvious place in the frame. But if that becomes an issue while you're shooting, switching into manual focus mode is quick. But still, it's an issue that at its worst case scenario might just cause you to get a blurry pic of a one-off moment. The button for the eye function system isn't in a spot that makes it easy for me to hit without looking for it, but that comes down to the fact that my grip is slightly different from the more common way people would hold it, because I've spoken to others who played with this camera and they didn't face this issue at all. There's also some onboard effects and filters you can apply to your photos right on the camera, which once you're done, the camera saves as a new file so you don't lose the original. Now, I usually consider this kind of function pointless, as I'd rather have way more control and the power of a proper editing system on a computer, or even my iPad. But many of the built-in filters and effects here are set up really nicely, and to my vast astonishment, I found myself actually using them. Something I can't say of any other camera with this kind of function I've ever used.
It's uncluttered, it's user-friendly, it's simple to use, the manual controls are very powerful, the automatic modes are very competent. Whatever your skill level it is, or however complex you want to make a photo shoot, it's going to get the job done for you pretty easily, and that's an impressive feat. And at the end of it, it takes a bloody good photo, which is kind of what you want a camera to be able to do. So anyway, that's the Samsung NX100. My recommendation is it deserves to be on a few people's Christmas lists. But if you do buy it, don't go and buy it from the store I talked about in this video here. You just don't want to give them any business whatsoever. Anyway, I'm Blunty. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.